Hey guys, I'm so excited to get to be with you today. Can you hear me okay? Yes. All right, awesome. I've got an incredible story to tell you, and I want to thank you guys in the back for working with me. I've got some numbers and facts to share with you, but when I met John, he actually told me he was not going to do LA Marathon. At the end of the presentation, he said, I'll think about it though. Let's get in contact and we'll see what happens. And I walked out of there, and my volunteer, who was my intern at the time, Lindsay Dean, she was like, Johnny, do you think that guy in Santa Barbara, you think he? I said, he's going to go. He is going to go. You just wait. He's going to go. Last year, I challenged you guys through the story of my bro, Stevie Spear, who was a pastor in Chicago. And God was calling him to run the Chicago Marathon, so he did it. And the next year, he did it again. And the next year, he did it again. And he hated it all 3 times, all right? But they provided water for life for hundreds of children in Kenya. And then he was on a 15-mile training run at his mother-in-law's house. And he felt like God was giving him that tap that Pastor John talked about. And he said, Stevie, I want you to run across the country, from Santa Monica Pier to New York City. And I want you to raise $500,000 for children in Kenya. And he said he took that vision and he stuck it under the water like a beach ball. He shoved a beach ball into the water and just sat on it for 6 months. You guys will remember, he ended up saying yes to that. I'm reminding you of that story because his 1-year anniversary of hitting New York City was last week. And he got, by God's grace, fundraised $500,000 for children in Kenya. Well, there's you guys, man. I came here, I made the challenge to you. Man, I'm going to tell you a story, it's going to blow your mind. So, 53 people said yes, all right? 51 people were able to actually cross that finish line. And it was insane. We had the largest charity team in the history of LA Marathon by 8. We were 8 times larger than any team in the history. Incredible, guys. We had 819 runners cross that finish line. We fundraised $770,000 for clean water. That's clean water for life for 15,400 people. That means no more death by diarrhea or giardia or malaria. In fact, more kids die from death from uncontrollable diarrhea every day than of HIV and malaria combined. Did you know that? That's an insane statistic. And when we talk about $50 provides one person with water for life, we're talking about 3 things. We're talking about clean water within 1 mile of the hut, or within 1 kilometer of the hut. We're talking about sanitation training. My buddy Rusty was like, he went to Kenya last June, and he said, Johnny, they lined up 100 kids in this village, and they all walked up to the water source and started to wash their hands. They were all looking at me like, and he said, seriously, they're going to have 100 kids wash their hands right now. And as the 3rd kid and the 4th kid washed their hands, and he saw these kids crying and these parents celebrating, he started to cry, and he just realized, man, he did not understand that even being able to wash your hands with water that's not going to give your family diseases was a miracle for these kids. That is a part of what we mean when we say $50 gives one person water for life. And the last thing is latrines. Clean place to go to the bathroom. World Vision calls it hygiene training. It's kind of a nice sanitized way of, we give them the most life-saving invention in the history of the planet is the toilet. And they have access to something within 1 kilometer of their hut that will keep them clean. Here are your numbers, guys. I believe they should be up there. There you go. There's your team right there, 51 runners. You guys raised $74,266.60. Most churches of this size average $20,000, and that was a huge accomplishment for that church. So this number right here is the number, one of the 2 numbers that gets me most excited is you average $1,456 per runner. Now that is the average, that is $200 greater than the average per runner of my 2nd largest church that actually led everybody in fundraising. What you guys did with Chrissy's leadership, with other team leaders stepping up as encouragers, all right? Jimmy and Brianna and Jamie and everybody that was down there was just loving it up and bringing the life, all right? What you did by showing up every Saturday morning and unifying at that group training, you encouraged one another and you brought life to one another, and that led to, what's the number, 1,485 people in the Congo getting water for life. Now, we fully funded every single available project in the Congo because of what Team World Vision did at LA Marathon. I mean, that's crazy. I know, man, it's nuts. I had to go to Seattle, the World Vision headquarters, because it was nervous. They said, well, Johnny, we don't know if you can code all your donations this year for the Congo because we'll have to approve new programs. And I said, well, let's get them approved, man. Let's do this thing. We have new projects approved, ready to go. And for you second-year runners, this is for you. If you've been thinking, am I going to go a second year? How can I ask people to give again? I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to me. Your donors last year, one of the highlights of their lives was donating to your race. People don't donate because they want you to shut up. Maybe one or two people do. But most people that do are inspired by what you've done. Look at that, 538 individual people inspired by a team of 51 to enter into what this church is doing in the world. That's incredible. That is incredible, guys. So I want to remind you, this is my sponsor, Kid Ava. I want to remind you a little bit about her struggle. And I know I got to keep turning around, but this is what she looks like when she's walking to get clean water. She's carrying a stick to fend off predators. She is 99% of the time alone on her trail. I've been at her hut and I've seen her water resource. It is a 10-kilometer round trip journey she goes on 3 times a day. Once before the sun comes up, once in the middle of the day, and sometimes it is too hot, but if they need it, she will be sent out at the end of the day. That route to dirty water is the #1 source for human traffickers on planet Earth. When you eliminate that need to do that route, you shut down that source for sex traffickers, for militant recruiters, and for child bride. What's the term for that? I don't even know what the term is for that, guys. That's crazy, man. I can't imagine my kids doing it. And they're going out to gather water. You wouldn't even wash your car with it. You know what I'm saying? That's all it takes is $50. It leads to this. This is what a community group looks like. I'm going to turn around for a little bit, but stay with me, okay? I want to tell you a little bit about this story. Now, these villagers right here, they do all the work. All right? They're the ones that are working with the rig. They're the ones carrying the pipe and digging the footings for these borehole wells. But we have 10 technologies we use. Not just, people always think, oh, you dig wells, you dig wells. We've got 10 vastly diverse technologies that work wherever we need to be. We teach our villagers how to do it. They use bricks that are made from the very dirt they just dug up out of the ground. This is a mother of 4 laying these bricks down to create a facility that will protect the resource. This is the same guys actually fixing a well dug by another charity that broke in a year, because the average lifespan of a well dug by a Western charity is 1 to 2 years. But with World Vision, it's minimum 19 years, and our $50 actually provides clean water for 25 years. That's what we call clean water for life. All right? And there's Ava, and there's what you did. 1,485 children like Ava done with the journey. No more. This is a piece of graffiti posted outside of my church family's facility this year. Most people live and die without moving more than the dirt it takes to bury them. And that little side graffiti might have been another dude leaving the same bar that night. But I smell a religion most foul. You know, people say negative things sometimes about the church because they don't know what we do. Can I show you a video about my son real quick? Just real quick. It's I'm hoping it's going to work. This is my boy Elijah. And he's going to he's going to do something that's going to blow your mind. Just wait. Just give me a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. Bam. Now I show you that because first, my boy's just really cute, but I think a lot of people imagine that's what we do in the church. We sit around and we watch a show. We eat popcorn with our toes. Then we go home, eat lunch when we want to eat lunch. We don't provide clean water for life for 1,485 people. We don't show up every Saturday morning and 3 other days during the week in the morning when we need to train to do what we got to do. But this is our story. We are in a wow culture, a wow expression of God's kingdom. Jesus says in Mark 1, time's up. God's kingdom is here. Change your life and believe the message. Now I want to talk to you briefly here. I got just a few more minutes. I want to talk to you about what it looks like when you get that moment. If I can get my clicker to pick me up on. I hit the wrong button. That arrow represents your life, all right? Your life. It's an unbroken line. You're plowing forward. You have a vision for what you want to do, right? You got a job, got a career, you went to school, you're done, you're making money. Some of you think you're awesome because you pay your bills. You ever thought about that? Seriously, some of you actually think, I'm awesome because I pay my bills. I don't know why I'm mentioning that to you right now, but that kind of stuff makes me laugh, man. Like, oh, you're amazing. You pay your bills. All right? You have moments in your life that are major life-changing moments. You get a job situation, all right? Or death can happen in our lives. My best friend died the day after Easter this year, man, 39 years old. Cardiomyopathy, his heart just stopped. He took all the pictures. He hung out with you, Forrest, at the transition zone. He took all the pictures of my runners this year. You know, it's totally rocked me, man. It's rocked his family, it's rocked my family, it's rocked our church. We have moments like this which change everything. We have marriage moments, new relationships. Some of us have faith crisis. You may be going through something like that right now. You know, where man, Johnny, I'm having a crisis of faith. And I don't know what the answer is. The biggest moment you have in your life are these moments of calling. These taps in the shoulder. These moments when God's inviting you into a new journey. And you know that if you do it, a whole new trajectory is going to pop up in your life. And that trajectory is a journey of tension. Just suck it up, man. I mean, if you feel a tap on your shoulder, yes, the status quo is over. Stop crying about it. Do it. Turn into it. Let's make this thing happen. Because if you turn into it, this new depth of meaning and value is going to open up in your life that you've never experienced before. But if you don't do it, if you turn your back on that moment, you will miss out on that meaning. And let me tell you, here's the danger. Your neighbor is having all the same kind of moments in their life you're having. But if they don't have you as light in darkness, living out your moments and living out those experiences of calling in the midst of all the crisis and all the challenges and life change, what hope do they have? 1 in 4 of our charity relay runners at LA Marathon last year came from outside of church communities. I challenged 17 churches. Run the relay and invite a friend far from God to be a partner. And we had 278 relay teams. That's over 500 people ran. 1 out of 4 was from outside of church communities, according to my team captains and a careful study I did after March. What that means is those people were connected to folks and on journey with them into a new experience in life that they never had written for themselves before the invite came. But the result was transformational for them, right? Well, there's Lynn Patty. I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to skip Lynn's story.
For Team World Vision.
Don't get mad at me. You just missed an awesome God Bless America song. But for time, I got to come to you right now with just a couple points here. I'm going to put them all up on the screen so you can look at this process. I'm going to talk you through it. When a moment of calling opens up in your life, this vision of possibility will result. You'll begin to see new things, new avenues that can take place. You hear me? Man, kids could get clean water. I could get in the best health of my life. My husband's finally going to look at me and be like, you know what? She's actually stepping up and doing something. You know, we're being spouses. We're tough on one another. We got to quit that, man. But sometimes we know it is time to step up. We know we need to step up and we need to reevaluate what we're doing. But the moment you say yes to a moment of calling, a conflict from without is going to happen. Now, that could be your mom or your dad or some family friend or some voice in your life saying, you're crazy, man. You can't run a marathon. Or you could end up going home and looking at your work schedule like, I've got a kid, I got 2 kids, I've got a full-time job. When I'm going to have to do this before 7 a.m.? And you're going to see this conflict from without, and it's going to open up a conflict within, where you're going to re-question the very tapping you just received. And that conflict within is going to lead you to a crossroads. Are you going to do this or not? And if you're not careful, you will lose the vision of what God's calling you to do and the hope of God's glory. Now that's like a religious phrase there, hope of God's glory. What God's glory is simply is God's full potential. You hope to see God's full potential blow up in your midst. He's tapping you on the shoulder. You think this could be it. But if you lose that vision and get shaken from it, you don't get to see that. You miss out on the hope of God's glory. The result is this. This is the only way out. Man, dude, I quit that thing. I was supposed to do it and I quit it. Well, you know what? I'm paying my bills. I'm paying my bills. I'm legit. You know, I'm doing all right things. So, you know, God will get me again down the line. I think I've got another vision for my life, which is the same piece of trash vision I've been working on my whole life, which is desire things, pleasure in the now. And you get sucked back up into that fixed action. That is not what God has for us, guys. Let me tell you what He's got for us. Passing along the beach of Lake Galilee, He saw Simon and his brother Andrew net fishing. Fishing was their regular work. Jesus said to them, "Come with me. I'll make a new kind of fisherman out of you. I'll show you how to catch men and women." Instead of perch and bass, they didn't ask questions. They dipped their nets, they dropped their nets and followed. You come to a moment in your life when you know you want to do something, you got to remember Jesus is the one that's inviting you into it. He is saying, "Come with me." He's not saying, "Go on, get out of here and do something right with your life for a change." That's not what Jesus says. He says, "Come with me. I'm going to journey with you. We're going to do this together." And then He says, "I'm going to make something new out of you. I will transform your life. The old stuff you used to be doing, you're right. There's meaning in that and there's value in it. But I'm going to flip the script on all that. And you're going to be a brand new fisherman. You're going to do stuff you never imagined before. I'm going to show you how to catch people. I'm going to change your focus on your life from monetary things, perch and bass, that pay the bills, to transforming people's lives." And then one of my favorite points. There comes a moment in your life, in my life, you got to stop questioning your way out of every moment God's calling you into. And it's what these disciples did. They dropped it all. They stopped asking questions. It was a step of faith. And they dropped their old mechanisms, built their lives around those nets. And they followed Him. "Johnny, I don't have all the answers." Well, you don't have to have all the answers. Just drop your nets, man, and follow Him. I'm going to have a 10-minute meeting at the end of the service right down here, where I'm going to again invite you to run LA Marathon to provide clean water to children and families in the Congo. Last year, I told you 766 million people lacked access to clean water. I can't say that anymore. Now it's 744 million. It's dropped 22 million. I believe that if we stay on the trajectory God's calling us into, we're going to eliminate this before my kids in college. I absolutely believe that. If you want to be a part of this and you know God's calling you into it, please come to the meeting at the end of the service. Ocean Hills, you rock. Thank you for all you've done.